that will be productive. Yeah. Let's think about it. A man wants you being your president. Oh, Lordy. So, to clap for the thief that broke into my home. To be the judge who freed. So I'm supposed to congratulate him for getting his freedom. I've seen many things we have all been battleized. The crowd see it well. On the it's not my president. I don't know if he's yours, but he's not my president. And he knows it. That's the beauty of the situation. So 10 o'clock now. Okay, this one says 9:59. That one says 10 o'clock. All right. Good morning, everybody. I know that a lot of you but I've promised my waste time, too much time on that subject, but because I know that is on your briefly, because it is equally pertinent. I deliberately picked the topic, and in picking the topic, I said the nudist colony. In picking the nudist colony, I was deliberate. I was going to say nudist colony, but I felt it was longer. We might as well just say that get Nigeria. So there was no need to have the nudist colony. So what is a nudist colony? I had it before, but essentially naked. Go find some secluded for you to live in a nudist colony to being visited with sight of everybody else's nudity, and you are prepared, of course, to show yours. So everybody is going around stark as naked, shriveled breast, every part, because that is the nature of when you now nation or a country described essentially as a nudist camp or a nudist colony, they ask this: how is this possible? But think about it. Let's think about it. If you went into the Bible and you read from Genesis chapter 1, verses 7 to 11, you'll find that one of the was that Adam had knowledge of the fact of his nudity. He was aware of the fact of his nudity. So when he was going to that fig leaves, he clothed himself completely, but he covered that was conscious of the fact reference text that I asked you to read. Adam had the presence of mind to know that he was naked, and he took steps to cover his nudity. You must first of all identify. I have added to a subject in the past, and I wrote about it. You'll find it on my website. I said, play God or play dog. You play God when you affect a situation, because you are blessed to do something about it. That is you playing God. To the existence of an anomaly. So you're backing, drawing attention to the fact that we've become a nudist colony. Think about it. Adam took steps. If we have not recorded, it becomes next to impossible. So it is important that we ask ourselves, what has stopped us from seeing the fact nudity? I'll tell you. Religion. Because of religion, we see him first as a Muslim. We see him first as a Christian. We see the person first as Fulani. We see the person first as Ijo. We see the person first as Kalabari, as Yoruba. We don't see the humanity of the person. We see the person first as rich or as poor, as educated or uneducated. Because we have used one of these multiple cloaks, we have views of the persons that we should see as human, and we have equally forced ourselves, deluded ourselves into subjectivizing the truth of what we see. So even though we see abject nudity, which is religion, a thief is your tribesman. We find the many reasons why we cannot see. We become a nation of nudists. See the nudity that we are refusing to see. You remember Jesus Charlie, when some Islamist idiots fundamentalists went to town in France, and they would be, maybe I can't remember the number. When in Paris, in Baga, so we were just suing Charlie, but we could not find in our own space. On a Frenchman, a Polish, I believe it was a terrorist attack at a car outside Paris. He was killed in the course of duty. And the French president, the whole of Europe, the attention was focused on the tragic death of this solitary, singular French policeman. Our president, the entire Nigeria, multiple service men, like our president did not batter. Why is this relevant? It is relevant because how we look at it seem to have developed this ultra capacity to feel the humanities of other people. The one that was killed can't breathe. Millions of Nigerians can't breathe. The police is choking and shooting and killing every day. But our own humanity does not appear to matter now, does it? So, time that we begin to look at something that we are refusing to see. And what is this thing that we appear to have evolved sanity? Of course, bogus, for instance, to become big. Democracy has come to Nigeria to find new meaning. But what does the world see when they look at us? Since we cannot appear, we do not appear capable, the world sees a foolish people. They see us of fooling them. Tell Chinese people who are packed together. Remember that? A lot of you still can't tell a lot of Chinese people. That is exactly how we are to the rest of the world. They can't tell us apart of the Igbo man. They don't know the Fulani man, at least not until you begin to talk about those who use us against ourselves. All they see are foolish people. They just see foolish people. You might speak to them about the Igbo people are very cunning people. Yes, they are the ones spoiling my country. Oh, the Fulani people, don't mind those ones. They are very, all of them are headsmen and terrorists, and the Hausa, say one thing you're saying about all, because they can't tell the difference between you. So, why your hated that you're defining you to those you're speaking outside of our shores? They do not define us by. I'll share an experience. I was in Dubai, like visiting that country, and it's why I've not been there in almost 10 years. I believe the last time I was there would be 2008 or something along those lines. But here is the key thing. I came out of an elevator at the mall, and this Arab youth, an Emirati, so they were to come in, and he pointed at me and he was shouting, "Kafri, Kafri, Kafri." If you know the true meaning of the word kafir and its root, you would understand that it simply means a slave. So for the Arab, even though you travel every day to make outside of the pretense of religiosity, you're just another kafir. Knock your head 20 times on the floor in front of him. That's all. The same for you Christians. You go up and down the place, you define everybody else by your faith, and then you talk down. They were the ones who brought the damn Christianity into our shores. So that they live by the precepts, but you are not living by the precepts, even though you are a bunch of foolish. They can't even begin to know yourselves. So Mr. D on the other one, based on their religion, based on their ethnicity, you're just defining you. As far as see all of us for who we are. They see us, particularly we Nigerians, because we are the most proliferate when it comes. We are very, very prolific. We're just like water hyacinths. Everywhere, we go everywhere, and we're everywhere. If you like, say it's the Igbo man. If you like, say it's the Yoruba man. I know Fulani rarely ever settle outside Nigeria, but I assure you, we define who we are to the whole world. They separate us. Oh, Nigerians are, it's all of us. Nigerians are certificate forgers. It is all of us. They see all of us. All of us. That's what they see. Nigerians are drug pushers, terrorists. They see all of us. All of us. So let's be clear about something. The ruiners of Nigeria, what they have done is that they have ignored to understand the fact that they are the ones that are seen as the most foolish by those using them. They make the money, they take it abroad. Their children, they take them abroad to foreign lands. These children grow up estranged from the land. The wealth leaves and it stays out there. And all of bemoan what we do I say that I'll tell you.
Is one, we are now all clear that Abuja is not a special state. So 25% must have. But I think two things for me that are significant from that judgment is one, we are now all clear that Abuja is not a special state. So 25% must have. The fact that the Supreme, and I think that's very important. And this is when the Electoral Act, actually the Electoral Act says INEC can determine what type of technology it uses and how it uses technology. Then INEC issues guidelines and regulations form, if we're talking technicality, form technically part of the legal framework for the technology. And the Supreme Court is now saying that that is not known to law, that the IREV is not known to law, because it's not in neither the Constitution or the Electoral Act. And I think that's very unfortunate. I mean, that with the Adeleke case, and it's also re-emphasized in this case. So for those planning to, elections that we're planning to be relevant is what my understanding is. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so feel free to correct me, Dr. Abati. And I think that's really very critical. That in one vein, you say they have the powers in part of guidelines for elections. And at the same time, you're saying it's not known to law because it's neither in the Act nor in the Constitution. That as a challenge. And then three, and then so on the back of that, for those going into elections in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi in 2 weeks, your Form EC80 is your Bible. So hold on to it very tightly, because IREV will not be helping you. I think you said on the clip that the issues of law and justice are not about emotions and how people feel. And the mist and in the model of people's emotions about these elections and how they felt the elections were run. Part of the process and the procedure and the legal form of it lost in all of that. And I would be held responsible for a lot of this. Number one, in the socialization that went in pre the election on what the IREV would mean and would do for the elections. So having said that, and people having believed that IREV is so critical in terms of how elections are voted, that didn't happen. And the Supreme Court at the tribunal level, partially not understanding the technology and what that means, partially in this judgment believing that if it's not in the law, it's neither here nor there, so they didn't pay attention to the IREV and understanding what that meant. Some kind of transparency and clarity for the elections. In a sense, I think the Supreme Court has said, well, too bad. It didn't have the powers you were told it had, and we are to recognize that power. We need to view that as we move on in our elections. Because it was something that Nigerians, those both voters and those on the election observation or environment, thought would be a game changer in providing real-time review, and also when elections would do manual collation. Yes, the discrepancy, the IREV was superior, but the Supreme Court is now saying that that's not the case. Very, very important. And lastly,
can I come in before I lose my thoughts with her? All right, so wonderful. I'm glad the way she presented, just to tie it into what themselves in this matter. This same Supreme Court, 5 months ago, May, June, July, August, 5 months ago, in the case of Adeleke, which she quoted here versus Oyetola, and that whatever, it's not just in the case of Adeleke versus Oyetola, they had said it in time past, that the regulation is part of the law. That is why the regulation is gazetted. Are you aware that the regulation is gazetted? And the guideline that made, what's the name of this guy that is in Kogi State? When the man who was supposed to be the governor died, when just few I'm trying to think about the name. Don't remember the names of all these APC guys. Faleke, is it Faleke, who was his running mate, thought, I am the running mate of Abubakar, so I will naturally continue. The APC said no. You see, APC has destroyed our system. At any point in time, APC wants them to be reinterpreted to suit their own end. So that's time, APC, he's been in Lagos, but from Kogi State. Okay? But Yahaya happens to be the other people's, the other faction of APC guy. So they brought out Yahaya Bello court up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled saying the party has the choice of who they will regulation and guideline. Gave and continue with the election, even though with the margin winning. So they told them, the Supreme Court ruled that the regulation and the guideline of INEC was part and Electoral Act derived its power from the Constitution. Fast forward from Falake, Yahaya Bello, down to Adeleke versus this guy in 2023 May, that Supreme Court. They recognize collation. They recognize everything. The judgment is still there. The same Supreme Court has changed. Why? To qualify what this young man is, a court that acts as they are told to act. They don't care what damage they are doing to the fabrics of our institution. Just like a judge woke up in his bedroom and did what he was asked to do in 1993, truncating our democracy, they have continued to do so. Babio to be in Senate today, and what returned that APC had their primaries in Yobe State, and somebody came and won the senatorial seat. His name had been written, submitted to INEC as a candidate. But when the sitting Senate president then could not win the presidency, which the primaries was after the Senate, he went back again and said, give me the Senate. The guy said no. The Supreme Court is in this in the Electoral Act. You see how the Supreme Court, especially with APC, have been destroying our institutions. Now, this young woman is asking a question. Faith, next week. Because IREV is useless now. Have they not weaponized Hope Uzodinma again? They have weaponized him. And what happened about the case of Hope Uzodinma, of PDP, the Supreme Court case that now is over? The same Supreme Court has suspended it. What are they trying to achieve? What chaos in 2019 that APC does not have a candidate in the election? INEC. Because in the eye of the law, based on the judgment of the Supreme Court, APC did not participate. Then from nowhere, they participate. But that they won Supreme Court again, asked INEC to collect the certificate of return that has been given to another person and who had been sworn in, and give it to APC that came back to court and said, you ruled that this party did not participate in the first place. Enforce your judgment. You postponed it indefinitely. You postponed it for 3.5 years. Justice delayed, is it not? And then all of a sudden you found in your heart to remember that postponement and say that you're going to sit just your election. Everybody started rejoicing, say, it is better for it to be late than to be delayed. In fact, people thought it was a joke. People thought it's not possible. I'm planning to hear this case. Another election. Okay, what if this election Labour Party wins? Will you tell Labour Party to go keep their mandate because Ihedioha, who won in 2019, that his mandate is being restored? Or will you say that the whole election and all the millions wasted to conduct the election will go to waste